This is it. Real talk and whatnot. Alrighty, you guys. Episode number 6. I don't know how long I'm going to keep saying the episode numbers because eventually I'll stop. But right now I have Feli with me. Feli, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, guys. I'm Feli Rodriguez. I am Mr. Micah's fiancé.
Yeah.
I'm her best friend, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Feli, we've known each other not too long. So back when Lindsay worked at Rush Creek, that's, I think, when I first met you.
Yeah.
Right?
I first met you.
Yeah, and when I met you back then, you were playing guitar at the campfire or whatever. So people would, come up to the campfire and your job was just to play music, or were you just playing music?
Yeah, no, I actually I worked at Rush Creek Lodge, and then for the summer, I kind of had this gig where I played at the campfire. So they actually paid me, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is cool.
To play at the campfire there. So it was pretty awesome. So I would just play at a certain time, and then people would come because we would have marshmallows that they would set out and stuff by the campfire, and then we would just do campfire songs. So it was pretty fun.
That is cool. That is cool. And then off air, you were talking about something. How'd you break your pelvis?
Oh, okay. So. All right, so this is actually a long story. I served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and so I ended up basic training is where you go and actually you train to become a Marine, and I was in Parris Island. So before then, I think they changed it this recently, this past year, where females go to San Diego. But first, all Marines, female Marines, I should say, go to Parris Island, which is in South Carolina.
Is there a pretty small number of female Marines?
Yeah, it's about less than 1% of women go join the Marine Corps. I know that there's
Dang.
I can't remember the numbers of how many women go into the military itself, but the lowest number of females that actually join the military, the Marine Corps, I'm sorry, is actually less. So it's the lowest number.
Damn.
So it's 1% of men join the Marine Corps, and then less than 1% of females join the Marine Corps. So yeah, so it was a very small number. I think it was to every 10 males in the Marine Corps was 1 female.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that was the ratio. But so I went to South Carolina, Parris Island, doing training there. It was about my second month in. So we have this thing called Rifle Week, where basically we prepare to shoot at the range. And I can't really say that there's a specific time that I broke it. It was a progressively it was progressive injury. So it just kept getting worse and worse because we're carrying 80 pounds on our back, you know, these rucksacks, and we just this heavy stuff, and we're carrying people and just doing all these crazy maneuvers and just I actually slept on the top bunk. So there's bunk beds in this squad bay area. So we have to sleep, either on the bottom or the top. And unfortunately enough, I was on the top bunk, and I'm very small. And so every single morning, our drill instructors would come in, and there was no preparing to wake up. You wake up and you're just all right, here's my alarm.
It's just yelling. I'm guessing.
It's just complete somebody just opens the door, kicks it open, and just screams at the top of their lungs. And they just scream lights. And you have to get down on line right in front of your bunk as fast as possible. So they're counting down. They give you 60 seconds, not even. And it's not they're counting 60, 60 alligator.
Yes.
59 alligator. It's always 60, 59, 50, everything. They're counting fast. Yeah. And the fastest way for me to get down was to jump down. So every single morning, I am constantly putting impact. I'm jumping just straight down on the concrete floor and just putting that impact into my pelvis. So women in the military are prone to getting a lot of injuries on their pelvis area because we're not meant to carry that much weight.
Sorry, when they're giving you the weight, you're carrying the same exact amount as the men, or is that they don't even differ? I always say that because biologically, women are weaker than men. So,
exactly,
you would think they would, but it's a Marine, so you maybe not.
Yeah. So in the Marine Corps, they say there's no difference between a female Marine and a male Marine.
They've all endured
call us
the
Marines.
same thing.
We're Marines, and we do get a lot of backlash, oh, you guys don't do what we do, or we don't. Females have it, not as much as as intense as we do, and it's no, we do the exact same thing that you guys do. I think the only difference from the female Marine Corps to the male Marine Corps is that we have like our obstacle courses. They're just like a little bit shorter because our length and our reach isn't as much as them.
So but at your trainings, so are you like with all females at your training?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
we're separated from the male Marines. So there are male platoons going out and training as well, but then there's also just the females. So we weren't integrated, and I think they just recently were thinking about doing that. I'm not sure if they've done it. But before, it was just the females training with females and the males training with males. But yes, so back to, us getting prone to getting injured a lot because like I said, we couldn't carry that much weight. Men, they have tighter, obviously, pelvis areas.
Yeah.
And then females, ours is wider.
Hip sparing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
birthing hips.
Birthing hips.
Yeah, birthing hips. So all of that impact is crushing down on our pelvis. And obviously there's really not much you can do at it. You're in training, And so I kept feeling like a lot of pain, going on in my pelvis area. I didn't really say much, because you're always hurting in the Marine Corps, and especially in boot camp. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it got to a point where my left leg was literally kind of like turned in,
like penguin,
like a pigeon toed.
Yeah, pigeon.
But just on my left leg, and I'd be running around doing everything, just
because
because I
during the pain, right?
Of course, yeah. Because why, if you get injured in basic training, you actually have to stay there longer because you have to go and heal, and then once you finish getting healed up, you go back to training.
And this is your first 2 months in the Marines, right?
First two. So it's about 3 months of training in basic training in wherever you go, either Parris Island or San Diego. All the females at my time only went to Parris Island, so it's 3 months of training. So I got there around June, and I got out around the end of August.
So you made it through it?
I made it through. Yeah. So I didn't say anything, and my drill instructors would always be yelling at me because they knew that something was wrong, but I didn't want to say anything, so I would lie to them all the time. We'd be like, "What's wrong with you, recruit?" And I'd be like, "Ma'am, this recruit's fine," I was not. I was just in total pain all the time, but I didn't want to say anything.
You don't want to be there. I mean, you have to redo it pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So if you get healed, you have to go back
You're
into...
like, I'm a month and a half
in. And I was
like,
no, I'm almost done. I have 1 more month left. Yeah. I'm not going to stay here any longer than what I have to. So I would lie to my drill instructors all the time. And I remember... my very last, so the Crucible is the most intense part of the Marine Corps basic training.
Crucible?
So the Crucible, that's what it's called. And it's basically you put every single thing that you've learned in basic training, you put that all to the test. And
can you walk me through what your thing or whatever the
Crucible?
The Crucible
is?
Yeah,
so the Crucible, it's like a 3-day test, and it's you have lack of sleep. You don't really get as much sleep, so it's not your full 8 hours or anything, because they normally do give you 8 hours. But you wake up at 5 a.m, and then you go to bed at 9 or whatever. And but in the Crucible, your hours are shortened. You get kind of rationed as far as because you get MREs, which is basically pre-packaged military food, lunches and stuff like that.
How were those?
Those
okay.
So they were okay. I only say that because they were okay at the time, because when you're in basic training, any food is delicious to you. So anything that you get,
you're burning way more than you're getting.
So anything that you're eating, it's gonna be delicious to you. And so in the Crucible, it's basically just a very intense, you're constantly doing hikes, you're constantly doing these obstacle courses, and you have to do teamwork with the rest of the females in your platoon. And you basically have to put all your strength, all your knowledge, all your will, and everything that you got to put it into this whole 3-day kind of trial test. By the end of it, you finally hike back. I think it's about a 9-mile hike that we did. And you hike back to the actual base. And then that's when you have your Eagle Globe and Anchor ceremony, which is basically when you become a Marine. So yeah, it's a really tough 3-day kind of intense thing. Yeah. So, and I did that with not knowing at the time. I just knew I was in a lot of pain. Not knowing at the time. Finally finished, graduated, became a Marine. Then we go to our second part of training. So once you become a Marine, you have to actually go to combat training. And
what you did was basic training, basically, for Marines?
Yeah, basic training. You become a Marine. That's boot camp.
Is that longer than other branches of the military?
From what I'm aware of, yes.
Right, because I think some are a month, 2 months,
yeah, I
right?
think the Army is can't remember how long the Army is, like 2 months or something like that. The Navy is like a month and a half or probably 2. I can't really say. I just know that we have the longest training.
Yeah,
we have about 3.
With you saying 3 months, it kind of made me think that.
Yeah, 3 months of training. So we do have the longest of the training. But yeah, so like I did that, and then after, like I said, after you do basic training, you have to go back into training, and now you're doing combat training. So now you have to know how to shoot machine guns. You have to like know how to do.
Is that the same location, or you guys?
No, it's a different location. Okay. Yeah, it's where I went to. Yeah, it's still. I mean, it's not really in. So we went to I went to South Carolina when I was in basic training, and then to combat training, you have to go to North Carolina. Whereas the other bases.
I gotcha. Sorry, another question. Yeah. Are you still with females only on this one?
No, this one is actually integrated.
Okay, now it's integrated.
Now you're with males this time. Yeah, so, and that made it harder for me because, I have like little tiny legs, little baby legs. And
even through this, you're just kind of trying to just make it through?
Well, I actually go to the very, so when you check in, you actually have to go get screened again medically, because when you go to basic training, you get screened for medical, if there's anything that's ruling out why you can't train, then they'll send you away. But then after basic training, you become Marine, you go to combat training, they do the same thing, same medical background check and everything like that. And then they see me and they're like, why are you limping? And I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. I think I pulled a muscle. And then they're like, okay, let's get it checked out. Sure enough, they give me an x-ray and everything. They're like, oh, you fractured your pelvis. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why it hurts so much,
that's why.
Yeah, so so it was pretty intense. And so I actually kind of screwed myself over in the long run, because I had messed it up so much to where, I mean, when you have a broken, anything, you're supposed to stay off it. You're supposed to do the least kind of amount of possible stuff. And I was doing the absolute extreme, the absolute most on it. And it kind of messed me up over in the long run. Yeah. And even now, I still have aches and pains and
I broke my wrist, same thing. Just it gets cold. I don't warm up my wrist. You're just you just do something. I'm like, wow, my wrist is popping a lot right now.
Especially in the cold, especially during the winter, I get my aches and pains and my left leg isn't as strong anymore as it used to be and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was pretty much my whole experience of breaking.
So then after
pretty long experience.
Long fracture. Yeah. But so after combat training, what was your job in the Marines?
In the Marine Corps. Yeah. So I became a radio field operator. So I dealt with communications.
Oh, okay.
So I was supposed to be just a regular communications radio field operator. You carry this backpack radio and you radio people.
Oh, so the radio person on the ground with the people. Okay.
Yeah, so that was supposed to be my job. But then when I went to the fleet, so after you graduate, you go to school, get your MOS, which is basically your job, what you're going to be doing in the Marine Corps.
Kind of basically your trade school for that?
Trade school. Okay. Exactly. And so after that, then you go get stationed to your first duty station, and mine was North Carolina. So I went from South Carolina to North Carolina to California for a couple months, which was happy, with my family.
Cool. Maybe I'll end up here.
And then, back to North Carolina. So I was like, okay, the Marine Corps hates me. All right. So I go back to North Carolina. Supposed to be a radio field operator. I was in a sense, but then they ended up kind of giving me a different job. It was still the same. It was still had to do with radio, still communications. But I ended up being... so I was in MUX platoon. So basically I dealt with antennas. So setting up antennas and programming radios and stuff like that. So it was an okay job. I didn't think it was the coolest.
Kind of like a tech job, basically.
Yeah, it was just I would go and I would program these. Well, actually, first I would set up these big old antennas, these huge antennas. Then the wire that was attached to the radio with that antenna, I would program that radio, and then the data people would come in and put their data stuff, and they would encrypt it and all this stuff, and then we would be able to get phone calls and Wi-Fi and internet and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool because it's you can basically establish your own Wi-Fi in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
So it was pretty cool. So that was my job. I had little side jobs every here and there. I dealt with training, so I would help the Marines get all their training certificates done. If they needed to go to the rifle range or if they needed to do their online training and stuff, because you know, you go to a job and you have to do certain trainings and stuff to, you know, you have to keep up with your training in order to be efficient in your job. That was the same thing in the Marine Corps. So you would still have to do your trainings there. So I would kind of have to keep tabs on my Marines. Okay, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Okay, you need to go to the rifle range. I got to send you there. But then I was also a barracks manager. So I dealt with the whole entire barracks in my unit. And I would help Marines if they were coming in and getting them a room, getting them all checked out. If they had issues with the room, any maintenance that needed to be done, I was the one they came to take care of that.
So that only almost reminds me of like I don't know what it's called, but like when people go to college, there's like a
dorm master or something. Yeah,
dorm master. Yeah, no, it's something. It's like R something.
Yeah. I think I know.
RN, but
RA.
RA. I think it's RA, but yeah. So yeah, it's something like that. But that's the kind of like what that reminded me of. Yeah. Like that. That's pretty cool, though.
Basically, that's pretty much what I did. And because of my injury, it affected me throughout my career.
I was going to say, that's probably why they're like, okay, well, this is what you can do in the Marines.
Exactly.
No, yeah.
I was always off and on, like with my injury. My injury, I was always off and on. So it's like light duty, basically. It's like there's certain things that you can and cannot do. And the doctor's like, okay, you can't do this, you can't do that. And for me, I felt kind of like in the Marine Corps, I felt it was unfair to my Marines because once I started picking up rank and I started being in charge of Marines, I felt like it was unfair of me to ask them to do something that I wasn't able to do. You know, so if I had to tell my Marines, hey, you need to go run a mile, or you need to go do your 3 mile, or you need to go do this,
it kind of ate you away.
It ate me away because I was like, okay, me as a leader, I should be able to lead them into that, you know? So I felt really bad as far as, you know, like I said, telling them to do things.
Well, I mean, that's more like, that's very noble of you to even feel bad, because some people can't, like, you were very empathetic then, like, for, like, you know what I mean? Sure. You're like, if they have to run, like, I should be able to to run with them, or, like, that mentality.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, so that was pretty much, you know, how it was for me in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. And then, any reason, like, why you chose to join the Marine Corps, or...
Honestly, because, okay, so my father was in the Marine Corps. And my dad, he was very tough love kind of guy.
Yeah.
For him, it was always like, it's either college or the military, you know? And once I got out of high school, I did college for about, like, a semester.
And I was
I went to JC in Sacramento.
Oh,
I went to this,
gotcha.
like, one American River College place.
I
I went there.
Exactly.
And, you know, you go to school your whole life, you know, just to go back into school. And so I was so sick of it, you know, and school was never really my thing, you know. I was always like, what's the point of this, you know, like, why do we need to know this stuff? And it just wasn't for me. So getting out of school, just to go back into school, I was like, okay, this is not it. And my father was like, well, you only have one more option, you know, the military.
Damn,
and I was like,
tough love.
yeah, you're right. So my dad was, but the only thing was, like, my dad was like, okay, you can join whatever branch. You don't have to join the Marine Corps. So he didn't say that I had to.
Was he like, don't join the Coast Guard, though?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I mean, honestly, he probably, you know, was like, yeah, everything but the Coast Guard.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, but yeah, he said you can join whatever branch. You just got to join. You know? So I was like, all right. And I decided the Marine Corps because my dad was in the Marine Corps. And I was like, you know, and I want a challenge, you know, I want someone to kick me in the ass. So I was like, you know, so the Marine Corps, let's do it.
And you know your dad. Your dad wanted you to join the Marine Corps.
You know, he's like, you can join
one, but
whatever one you want. He's like, Marine Corps.
But
if
you want my respect, I'm just kidding.
You want to be accepted
in this family. So your brothers and sisters or anything?
I have. So I'm the second. So I have 4 sisters. Well, 3 sisters, and then 4 of us. Well, there's 5 of us actually. There's 4 siblings I have. There's 3 sisters, 1 little brother.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have my oldest sister, then it's me, then my 2 younger sisters, and my little brother.
Any of them join?
No.
They go to college?
They saw me and they're like, all right, you're broken. Like, you know, we're not going to do that.
Damn.
No, so they all just went to college, except for one of my other sisters, my little sister. She actually married someone that joined the Air Force, though. So she's with him in the Air Force, yeah. So all my other sisters went to college. My little brother, he's still in school. He's still in, like, middle school. Going to go to high school. Yeah, big so gap, he's young, yeah. He's pretty young. So... yeah, so he's doing that, and then, everybody else just went to college and did their own thing, and
that's cool.
I was the one that just decided to break my hip, go to the Marine Corps, and now I'm going to college.
Yeah,
you know?
What, you get paid for it, right? From the military, right?
Yeah, that's the good thing.
That's the cool thing. Honestly, like, as much as, like, I don't know. I'm not the military type of person. I remember I went there and I went to whatever the recruiter's office. I was like, maybe I want to go to the Air Force. Like, so I sat down and my mom was with me, but like the dude was just like trying to get me to sign a paper there that day now. And it was just like that. If anything, that made me not want, that was like scared me out of it. But I was cracking up not cracking up in my head when you were telling the story about, so what is it called when you become a Marine?
The
ceremony
Eagle Globe and Anchor ceremony.
Okay, yeah. So I was laughing in my mind because I'm like, okay, like I can't even imagine like what that was or whatever. But in my mind, the closest thing that I've done is I was a Cub Scout. I wasn't even a Boy Scout, right? But at the end of like being a Cub Scout, like you had to do the ceremony called Arrow of Light or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's probably where Boy Scouts got like the idea of whatever, because you become a Boy Scout after you put your hand on like this arrow. I mean, this arrow on fire or whatever. But in my mind, I was just cracking up laughing because I was like, I mean, if I had to compare my life to Feli's, that's the closest thing to becoming a Marine.
And did you put your hand on the Arrow of Light?
Yeah, I did. Like right before
honorary Boy Scout.
Yeah, I did. And then right before I did, though, like the guy put too much of this, like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's like this jelly stuff that lights on fire. Kind of like if you're heating up... say you're heating up like a plate and you like light like a little gel thing and you put it underneath it. So it's that stuff they put on it, but the dude put too much on it. And the kid before me, he like did that. And then like he opened up his fist and then his whole entire hand was just like on fire still. And everyone was like, and I was like, what? I'm next. What am I supposed to be doing? But yeah, that was the closest.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think. So you play guitar, obviously. Guitar is like your family musicians or anything like that? Or are you the only one? Or
both of my grandfathers were musicians. My immediate family, like my mom and my dad, not so much. My oldest sister, used to sing. She's not really into it anymore. But for the most part, I think I'm the only one that actually sticks with music. And, I performed every now and then. If you ask Lindsay, I performed at her graduation. I won her high school talent show my senior year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just small things. And like I said, I was performing up in Yosemite at the lodge over in Yosemite. I've done... small occasion here and there. I've done weddings, just a little bit, but I haven't like actually done like long, like a concert kind of thing.
Like a multi.
I've only sang like maybe 1 or 2 songs at the most, and then at the campfire I would sing like 5 songs, take a little break, and then come back and sing 5 more.
But that was a little more. You're like background music. You're not the
exactly.
You're
I wasn't like the main
in the stage.
Exactly. I wasn't over there in like Carnegie Hall and like the great Judy Garland. Like I'd never done any of that. So so.
But when did you start playing then?
I started playing. Well, that's a really good question because I still don't think I can play. So when did I start playing? When did I pick up a guitar and start strumming?
Yeah.
I want to say I was like 10. I don't know. I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But I've always been fascinated with music, so I've always wanted to play. And I remember a long time ago when my dad was in the Marine Corps, we lived in Japan. And so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we lived in Japan, and I remember one time my dad and I went to go take out the trash, and we found this guitar in the dumpster, and my dad was just like, "Whoa, like look at this!" And I was like 5 years old,
Funny you say that. I take things out of the dumpster all the time.
Yeah, so my dad and I were dumpster diving. That was our life in Japan. That's all we could do. Yeah. So we went to go, and we seen the guitar, and my dad brought it home with us, and it was like, in pretty good condition. It really wasn't a bad guitar. I'm not sure why anybody threw it out. But ever since then, like, I've been in love with guitar.
That's cool.
So I was like 5 years old, and like ever since then, like I would grab that thing and just like try to, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I would just strum it, and just like see what sounded good. And then the older I got, the more I was like, okay, I could do this or I could do that. And then finally, I want to say it was like in 8th grade, I finally decided like, let me try and sing. And I never really sang before, and then I just decided to try and sing, and some people would be like, and I said, I don't think I'm good. People tell me that I'm good, and they're like, oh, you should keep that up. And I'm like, oh, okay, but I just do it because I love to do it.
Yeah, and it is cool because, I think the very first time I met you wasn't even Rush Creek. It was, we were at Lindsay's house. Right when me and Lindsay, like, this was like, we were like talking maybe. Yeah. But like, because a couple of my friends went, and then that was, it was you and basically her In Shape friends, and then you and a couple other people. But you're playing your guitar around there.
I remember that.
Because like, but like, you're not like you're not afraid, but like, it's not like you're, you're like wanting to play in front of people, but like you don't mind playing in front of people, kind of. Yeah. Where some people are like don't want to play. Like some people are really good and they still don't want to play in front of people and stuff like that. But like you're just like comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody asks me to play, I'll play. You know, I'm not gonna like. I do enjoy an audience.
Hence why she's playing at her wedding.
Oh yeah, I'm playing at his wedding.
Yes. Oh, she's also the officiate.
Officiating. Yeah, I'm a ordained minister. So I get to marry them, which is gonna be pretty cool. Because it's funny because Lindsay and I have been friends since like we're little kids, and it's just so weird to see her grown up like, and now have actually gonna have a husband. So
it's funny looking at like your friends like that because like you've known all your friends like since they were kids, like or if you have like childhood friends, you know what I mean. And like me and all my friends is like I have the same 12 friends, like so that's why I have 12 groomsmen in my wedding because like the newest one was like basically when I was 18 I met them, but like now when I look back at it I'm like, oh, that's 10 years ago. Yeah, like that's
that is
I was a baby, but that's why I'm always like, oh, like it's just cool like seeing everyone grow, get their jobs, stuff like that. And then when someone's not doing well, you're always like, hey, what's up? Or like you just know your friends more than
and that's that's the awesome thing is that Lindsay has been my friend like since forever, and she's been the only real friend that I've ever had. And when I was in boot camp, Lindsay was the only one that wrote me out of all my friends.
Really?
Yeah, she was the only one that wrote me. And
that's so cool.
Only my family members had written me. But all of my friends that, I thought that were my friends.
High school friends,
never wrote me, not one single letter. The only person that ever wrote me was Lindsay. So I was just
that's cool.
Lindsay's my homie,
Yeah, dude, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, high school friends is like, I'm like, I still like, like every now and then you'll see some. And like, I'm cool with some of them. But like, there's some people like, or like you used to talk to them and then it's just like the awkwardness of like when you see somebody and you don't know if you should say hi. Like you're like, do I just ignore you or I'm an asshole? Or do I say hi?
Eye contact, like, okay.
Yeah, or do I say hi and like you are like awkward about it? And every now and then it's just like the person like you both are just like, hey, what's up? Like, okay, well let's say hi. But it's always awkward if the other person's like, no, if you're like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, like what's the protocol here? Yeah, what
exactly.
It is always weird. But yeah.
Dang, Lindsay was the only one that wrote you though.
The only one, out of all my friends, so I was like, she's gonna be my friend for life.
Yeah, dude, that's dope.
And even when I got out of the Marine Corps, she always
talked about you, and like you're the only one I could say that like, okay, like Feli's her like friend that like throughout it all, because there's like phases of friends and stuff like that. Obviously, like everyone goes through them, whether it's your coworkers or stuff like that. But like you're the only name that like I remember like her saying like back in the day, like when we first started dating, and then like. Because I remember, like, you guys wouldn't talk for, like, a while, too. But that's just how friends are. You know what I mean? Like, you just lose contact with them, and then you haven't seen them forever. You're like, oh, fun. Let's hang out.
But that's the cool thing about Lindsay and I is that we can, like, not talk for, like, months. And, and then we will get back and catch up like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Like, and that's so cool. And that's why, like, it's so awesome being a friend. Because, like I said, like, you rarely get to have friends like that they're doing their own thing. You're doing their own thing. And then you get to come back and still be like, hey, how's your life going? Oh, my life's doing this, my life's doing that, and still be cool about it. And a lot of friends kind of just break off and be like, oh, like, we're going our own separate ways and we're going to leave it like that.
Yeah.
But no, Lindsay and I, no matter what I'm doing, I mean, I was all the way over in North Carolina, and then I come back and it's like nothing ever happened. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
And then Rush Creek and then...
Rush Creek.
And then...
But she worked with me for a little bit, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple times,
yeah.
She's a free... She was a free spirit when I first got with her. Yeah, and then... like tamed her down a little bit, and then
I'm just kidding. I appreciate it.
Well, then I wanted to go back over there again, but so sorry, I'm cutting everywhere.
No,
that's just how my mind is, dude. I'm like,
It's your show.
So I'm going to tell you the story. So I was walking with my mom in Costco, and like she's like, I need you to help me with something, and I was pushing not a cart, like one of those big ones that's like. Where you're supposed to load something big on it. And so, like, I'm following her, and, like, she's just running all over the place, like, like, just, like, really, like, goes, like, face to face with the old lady, then, like, cuts over here, and I'm, like, trying to follow her with this thing. Yeah. And I start cracking up laughing because all my friends literally tell me, like, that's, like, I start cracking up laughing because I know that's how I am. When I'm with my friends, it's me in front of them, and then all of them, like, as a mob, like, walking together, but I'm just, like, and they're always like, Micah, slow down, we walk so crazy, but, like, I'm always, like, I'm never in that shoe, so I'm like, no, like, you guys just walk slow.
Yeah.
And then I was, like, trying to follow my mom, and my mom was just like literally all over the place. And then we couldn't even pick up the thing, and so she's like, just leave the shopping cart. I was like, what? She was like, just leave it right here. And I was just like, well, let me like find a better place, and I saw like where someone else had left one, and so I like shoved it underneath that same one.
Yeah.
But like before I like finished shutting it underneath it, my mom was like running away, basically like looking around like if anyone's watching, and then I look around, I'm like, wait, mom, wait up, like it's just so yeah. Then my mom just like ditched me, and then it's just like I always think like the mannerisms of like your parents, like you don't want them growing up, but like you just end up getting them.
You end up becoming your parents, and you're like, because when you're younger, you're just like, oh, I never want to be like my parents ever, and then like the older you get, you're like, shit, I sound like my mom or my dad.
Yeah, my mom used to work at BUHAC with me, or like not with me, but like she used to work at BUHAC, and she'd take me to school every day. But it was like my freshman year of high school, and it's like the first day, and like so obviously like she's going to work, so I'm like with her. But I remember like she parked her car on staff, and then we got out of her car, and I just speed walked as fast as I can. And my mom was like, where are you going? I was like, I'm not walking with you on my first day of high school. And I just like ditched out. But like that was back in the day. And then my senior year, I was using my mom to call me out of class just so I could hang out in her like room. You know what I mean? But it's just like so funny how like even from like a freshman in high school to a senior year, like, oh, it is kind of cool that she works here versus like.
Yeah. I never worked on the parents, thank God. Yeah. I think it would be pretty intense because just living with my dad and my mom alone, like I said, my dad was really strict and he was in the Marine Corps too, and so like he was very drill instructor with us in a way, and we would get in trouble sometimes, and sometimes he would make us do like sit-ups and stuff like that if we got in trouble or something. Like, what the heck? And then I remember one time in particular, I didn't clean my room. And I came home to my room like completely trashed because in the military, like if you in the Marine Corps, especially in boot camp, dude, like if you don't like do something a certain way or you don't make your bed a certain way, like they will like demolish your shit. Like they will completely annihilate it, you know? And one time, I don't know what happened that set my dad off, but apparently my room wasn't as clean as what he wanted it to be. And I come home, everything is just thrown like everywhere. And I was just like, what the heck? And my dad was like, now you gotta clean up. And I was like, what? Like,
that's Dad, so wild. I would not survive in a house like that. My dad like raises his voice at me and I was like crying as a kid, dude.
Yeah, but no, my dad and I are like really good now. Like there's nothing
No, it just like growing up just with strict parents in general, you have the tendency to rebel. And it's like I didn't have necessarily strict parents, but I had parents that they would like wouldn't let me go out basically. Yeah. So like I could go to church events and church stuff, but I couldn't go like hang out with someone who they didn't know their parents' house. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
That was me for like a year because when I came out, I didn't really came out, I was kind of pushed out. And
you're gay?
Yeah. Last time I checked, I think let me check my gay meter.
Wait.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, mine's going off. I think you are.
I'm still gay. But yeah, so when I came out, for like a whole year, I wasn't allowed to like really go anywhere because they thought I was going to be like
extra gay
somewhere. They're like, we gotta contain the gayness.
Yeah, we no longer can trust you.
Yeah, so we gotta keep you. The only place you can go is church and school.
And of course church.
Yeah.
Was that high school? Did you come out?
Yes. Okay. So I was freshman year.
That was like pretty it's like crazy to think about, but like when we were in high school, like that's like it's a completely different time to me, like compared to now, because like there's no social media when we were in. There was MySpace.
There's MySpace.
And like Facebook was becoming around, but like like there's anything close to like what we have now. And so like and even like like gay stuff back then, that was like it was looked more down upon in society in the sense of like I was very Christian at that point, and like I just got taught in my head. And well, I mean, you were raised where you were raised.
I was raised Christian, well, Catholic and then Christian. So
yeah. So I'm saying the same thing with you, but like growing up, like what they preach or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it was really hard. It was really like,
especially for you if tough. Dang.
And like when I came out, so my parents found out because I was on MySpace. Speaking of MySpace, and I was talking to this girl. And she was like my first love and like the first girl that I was like, all right, I'm going to actually pursue, my sexual identity or whatever. And like, so, I mean, I always knew ever since. You ever watched the Power Rangers movie? The Mighty Morphin? Yeah. And that Dulcia chick comes with the whistle and she's wearing like that 2-piece with the
that green. That set it off for you?
Oh man, like my gaydar was like, whoa, like all the girls were like, oh my God, Tommy. And I was like, oh my God, like Dulcia.
Boys, are you saying this?
Yeah, I was like, what? Oh my God. So like ever since then, like I always knew. I always knew.
But then obviously you just wrestled with yourself and actually being able to.
Yeah, of course. And like, going through elementary and stuff, and boys would want to go out with me. The normal thing was to be like, okay, I gotta have a boyfriend. All the girls are getting boyfriends. Yeah. And then I would get a boyfriend and I'd be like, can I hold your hand? Can I kiss you? And I'd be like, hell no, dude. Like, back up.
Isn't it funny? Like people used to ask, like, I remember asking a girl, like, so can we hold hands? Then? Yeah. Like, that's junior high type of stuff. Yeah. But it's just so funny. Like, now I feel like junior highers, I'm like,
yeah.
Like, the kids are like, I mean, I think it's everything's sexualized, but kids like are having like sex in like 8th grade, 7th grade. I'm like,
what is wrong with you? Like, you're
I was a very late bloomer compared to you guys.
Yeah, I know. Like when I was a kid, I was like playing like hopscotch and stuff like that. Like, what the hell? You guys are talking about like smoking and like having babies and stuff, and I'm like, like
you're not even in like college, you guys. I know, chill out, pump the brakes,
simmer down.
So then, did you just like come out to your parents freshman year, or?
So I like I said, I didn't really come out voluntarily. What happened was, like I was saying, I was talking to this girl on MySpace. I'm not really sure how or why, but my mom found out. I don't know if they hacked onto my MySpace and they saw the messages between us and stuff like that. But anyways, I remember coming home one day from school and my dad was like, oh, let me see your phone. And my mom wasn't home yet. My mom was at work. And so he was like, oh, let me see your phone. And I was like, why, and he's like, don't worry about it. And I remember I was like, well, let me go get it, but I lied because I had my phone in my pocket, but I had to go delete the messages, because I was texting this girl too. So I was like, all right, like let me go get it. I go and I delete everything, wipe it all out, and then I finally give him it. It was like those little flip phones.
Yeah, dude, those were the best. Like, like I remember spending money on getting like a different looking flip phone. I'm like, but now it's like, I mean, iPhone or Android, but like, there's nothing else.
Really? Because I'm Google.
Oh, man. Proven wrong.
But so the flip phones and stuff like that. I had to delete everything, give it to my dad, and then my mom gets home later on at night. And right when my mom comes in, my dad takes my brother and my sisters and just like rushes them into the car. And they start leaving, and they just, like, drive off, and it's just my mom and I alone. And I was like, okay, what is going on here? I had no idea. I was caught off guard. And then as soon as they leave, my mom was like, who's the girl? And I was like, what the heck? Yeah, and I was just like, what are you talking about? And she's like, don't play dumb with me. I know that you're talking to a girl. And I was like,
your whole world
is... What? I know. I was just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening here? So anyways...
Back when we didn't know what like deleting search history was or like anything like that, you know what I mean? Like you're like, what?
Yeah.
Your parents
back
know more.
Before YouTube had commercials and stuff like that,
dude,
like
the good old days.
The good old days.
Music
exactly.
Videos.
So that happened, and then my mom called the pastor, and the pastor came in. Like, it was the whole nine. Like, then my family comes, does a whole
everyone's trying
pray
to make
circle
you not.
around me.
Let's pray the gay
gay demon out of her, And I was just like, that whole scene. And then I was like, all right, no, you're going to tell that girl you're never going to see her again. You're going to delete your MySpace.
Yeah,
you're going
to so crazy.
Get your phone taken away. And so for like almost a whole year, pretty much like a year, like I said, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I was just allowed to go to church and go to school. And that was it. Wasn't allowed to hang out with anybody because they wanted me to be influenced or influence, any gay people or, anything like that. So, that was like kind of my thing for a whole year. And it took them a while to get,
okay with
it. Yeah, and actually accept it. And now my parents are so chill about it. They're so cool about it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and they
realize how small of a thing it is now. You know what I mean? But like at the time, it was just like
Yeah, at the time it was like, well, this is the end of the world. Like, oh my God, like what is going on, And then like me, of course, I struggled with it a lot because like everything that I was raised to believe and taught and everything. So I was like struggling with my identity. Like, oh my God,
yeah,
God,
just like
God hates me,
Not only were you like just a normal person going through puberty, you know what I mean, like a high school person, but it's also you're dealing with like
my sexuality,
feeling guilty about it because you were raised to think this way or that way and stuff like that.
Yeah,
damn.
Of course. So it was tough. And then a lot of people do ask me like, oh, like how did you get through it or anything like that? Like how did you forgive them and stuff like that? And at first when I was younger, I was angry a lot, of course, because like, I was a kid and I needed my parents to be there and back me up and be there for me and stuff like that. But I understood that it was just as new for them that it was for me.
Yeah.
And so I don't really blame them, necessarily because, you know, like I said, like they didn't really know, they didn't understand. And I'm thankful that they actually took the time to understand and grow and actually know
and that probably,
and understand me.
In the long run, made your guys' relationship
of
better,
course.
you know
like,
what I mean?
We're a lot better now,
versus if it was just like...
Yeah, of course. And I remember, like, even my sisters, like, they didn't accept it at first either, you know? They were like, oh my God, like...
Well, because and like especially your whole family being raised Christian or whatever, it's just kind of like that's all like I was like just like a I don't know, not ignorant. I mean, I was pretty ignorant, but like when you're a little kid, you just only have I have my bubble of what I believed, whatever. I was like gay people bad, like that. That's what I just like in my brain. That's what was ingrained in church and stuff like that. And then like lo and behold, like now I feel like now's the time to be gay, like in the sense of like if you're coming out, like it's so widely accepted everywhere that like
that's what I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I came out at a time like this because you know when I came out it was still kind of fresh, but we started progressing, we started getting better with it, we started understanding it, we started being more open about it, and now like it's pretty cool. Like I can see people like me on TV and they're represented and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool, you know. And like I said, my parents are more open about it as well, and they're understanding and stuff. And like, we don't have any issues or anything, you know. Even my mom sometimes will be like, oh, like, I have this client. And I'm like, oh,
she's trying to hook you up?
She'll try to hook me up sometimes. Like, oh, thanks,
Wait,
Mom.
You're gay? Let me text my daughter.
Like, hold on, I know someone that's gay, too. My daughter.
Dude, some people do that. They're like it's like they know two gay people. And they're like, I want you guys to meet.
They're like,
and
you guys
like,
need to be together.
Yeah, it's just like, just because we're gay. Like, does not mean that we're going to instantly like each other.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
That's fun.
But no, they're pretty cool about it now. My sisters are really supportive about it as well. And then like my oldest sister, like at first she was super against it, you know, when I first came out and everything, and it was like really bad, you know, and like we were always close, and then that happened, and then it was just like we were kind of like cut off from each other. But then we ended up getting close, you know, and like she's done her apology and stuff like that, and I never asked for it. You know, I never asked like, you guys need to apologize to me. And like I never searched for that secret because I already forgave them. You know,
but that's like how you kind of felt guilty just about being gay. Other people like when you like, it's like even me, like when you sit back and you think about how you dealt with certain scenarios or certain situations, it's just like you just almost cringe or feel so bad about it because it's just like you would never want to treat that person that way, but it just happened that you did, like, or that. Of course. Your emotions got the best of you.
Yeah, so, like, I was very understanding, and then my sister ended up, you know, like I said, apologizing to me and stuff like that, and, like, we were really good, and she ended up, I remember when they first allowed, so back in the military, when I was in the Marine Corps, if you had a same-sex spouse, they didn't get the same benefits as, like, a regular spouse. So let's say that you were in the military, and you and Lindsay got married, Lindsay would have your benefits, full benefits, but for same-sex couples, that wasn't the case at all.
Damn.
Yeah, so they ended up changing it while I was in the military.
Yeah, that was like basically Obama's administration kind of changed a lot of different those type of laws
exactly.
And
so that ended up happening, and I didn't even know what was going on. I think I was somewhere out in town or doing something, and I just got this phone call from my sister, and she's like, "Hey, congratulations!" And I was like, what, like, for what, like, what's going on, like, you know? And she's like, oh, your spouse, and like, if you get married, like, your spouse can get your benefits. Like, she knew all about it, which was awesome, you know? You know, because she was actually the one that told me the news and was like excited for me, and I was like, now you gotta get married, and now this and that. And that's awesome to hear from several years back to where how she reacted to it, you know, in the past and to now, and just to see that difference. Like, it's awesome. It's beautiful, you know, it's really cool. So I really appreciate it. My family are like super close now. Like, we're super good and super supportive. So yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. That's dope. All right, Feli, I see you brought a little guitar over there.
I did.
Would you mind playing something for us?
Not at all. All right.
All right, yeah. Go ahead, get ready.
Let me go ahead and get that for you.
I'm going to get this out of your way. You probably won't, this too short, right? Too?
I think so.
Yeah. This is the first ever musical performance on Real Talk and Whatnot. No pressure, sorry, Feli.
Yeah, I know. I'm like pretty nervous now. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to put this down a little bit.
Okay.
And this should, hold on. There we go. I'll put that down like that. And then it'll catch both of them, and you could just sing from there, and it'll just be good.
All right, guys. So This is not one of my originals. I'm not as cool as Micah, so I don't really know how to do original song.
Yeah, they heard Bobby, but
so this is one of my favorite songs to play. It's called All I Want by Kodaline. So yeah, here it goes. All I want is nothing more than to hear you knocking at my door. 'Cause if I could see your face once more, I could die a happy man, I'm sure. So when you said your last goodbye, I died a little bit inside. I lay in tears in bed all night, alone without you by my side. 'Cause if you love me, then why'd you leave me? Take my body, take my body. 'Cause all I wanted and all I needed was to find somebody. I'll find somebody like you. So you brought out the best in me, a part of me I've never seen. You took my soul and wiped it clean. Our love was made for movie screens. 'Cause if you love me, then why'd you leave me? Take my body, take my body. 'Cause all I wanted and all I needed was to find somebody. I'll find somebody like you.
that was beautiful, Feli.
Thank you.
That was
Appreciate
seriously
it.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I haven't sang in quite a long
nothing
time.
to apologize, dude. That was awesome.
I
That's so
appreciate
cool
it.
to
Thank
me.
you.
And like I don't know, for just like because I don't know, I decided to do this podcast pretty like spur of the moment. Like
Yeah.
I've always talked about it, but like I don't know, like haven't. It's
Yeah.
a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. But like just like that alone, like just that, like that made me like so happy in the sense of like this can like be an outlet for people to share their art
Yeah.
and work and just anything that they're
Heck yeah.
passionate about. And that's kind of like I had made a little intro to this, and that's kind of like what I talk about on it.
Yeah, of
but like
course.
you're the first person who's like performed something, and it just
Oh,
was like
cool.
really cool. Like,
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Like, and that's awesome because like, I'm not really, I don't know anything really about podcasts, you know. So like, this is like my first professional one, you know. I say professional,
I've just been biting Joe Rogan's podcast, but
but like, no, I really appreciate it, and that's awesome because people do, especially in this time, you know, what's going on with COVID and everything, and everybody's
Yeah.
indoors and stuff, and everybody needs something to listen to, and everybody needs to know that there's people out there that can
Yeah.
you know, like an outreach kind of thing.
yeah,
like,
and exactly, and so like my whole base around this one is kind of like, I just want like people within our own community to know that there's other cool creative people out there
of course.
wanting to share their work, wanting to talk, just like whether it's talking about something locally that's going on or just sharing something. And that's why like I want to get different artists in here and stuff like that, because at the moment there's no live shows, there's no nothing, anything, any sort of that. So if I can give someone a platform to even play a song and them to be happy or even want to do it, like that just makes me happy, because it's like I'm helping them by just having a conversation with them. Of course. Like, and
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's pretty cool how people can come together and just do that.
So exactly. And like within the past couple of months, just of me trying to do this and just like trying to do more video work and stuff like that, I've just like met and seen a lot more artists, and it'd be like really cool to have them like
that's super cool
on and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it though.
Of course. Feli, I want to thank you for being here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
I really appreciate it.
Of course. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, anytime, dude. Like this is actually really fun. So I really enjoyed this.
Me too. Like I was like,
next time I'll sing better.
No, dude. Okay, we can switch it up genre or whatever.
We'll do it. I mean, you rap and I'll strum
there
along,
we go. We can do something like that.
But no, thank you, Micah. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you around.
Yeah, I'll see you around. All right, thank you, Feli. Have a good one. Thank you, guys, once again. This is it. Real talk and whatnot.